Oh boy, guys, do I ever have a hot one for you guys today? I mean, there's no point in giving you a preview or anything else. You got to hear it for yourself. There's no other way to explain this, guys. You just got to hear it. So let's just jump right into it. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you enjoy videos like this. But yeah, this is just wow. All I can say is wow. You'll see here in just a second as to why. But seriously, though, make sure you like the video and subscribe, or else YouTube, won't push my video and, they just go to nowhere. I don't know why. It's just the way YouTube works.
Welcome back to What Just Happened. I'm Rochelle Akufo alongside Brad Smith. Now, a recent New York Times op-ed from Paul Krugman has taken aim at Elon Musk over increasingly shifting the perception of the Tesla brand from a plaything of the rich and woke to an emblem of Silicon Valley excess, and Elon Musk's shift to the right. I discuss the impact of Musk on his brands with the Nobel laureate and New York Times columnist. Take a listen.
Yeah, and this is not a judgment on the quality of Teslas or on the quality of Elon Musk as a manager. Leave that. I'm not a car guy, and I'm not going to try and give you my own opinions on the cars themselves. The point.
Right there, he's already starting off. He doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. But just wait, guys. He gets better. Just go with it here.
This is an auto company. It's an electric vehicle company, but it's not the kind of company where you can expect an early mover, which Tesla has clearly been, to establish a sort of, unchallengeable monopoly position. Tesla is not going to be Microsoft, even if everything goes the way it should. It's not going to be Apple. This is not a network externalities, as the economics jargon, where basically people use something because everybody else is using it, and it's very hard to break out of it. And so you get decades of extremely high profits.
Wait, didn't he just say he's not a car guy, he doesn't know anything about it, but then he's telling you it can't be something that it may or may not be? Now, I mean, obviously to be something like a Microsoft or an Apple where everybody uses one or the other, I understand it's a completely different industry and everything, but you kind of see where the logic is already starting to kind of skew a little bit off base here as he's going. So I just wanted to make sure I kind of cued you into that cue there a little bit as to kind of where he's already leaning, kind of how it's already starting to kind of veer off just a touch so far.
The car industry is not like that, and this is fundamentally the car industry.
Again, he doesn't know anything about the car industry, but yet he's telling you how the car industry works, right? He doesn't know anything, but he's telling you how it works. I don't know. Sounds like everything else that we watch on TV, especially CNBC and those other things like that.
An increasingly crowded market, the EV space. And on top of that, I mean, a lot of people don't want to spend this kind of money. So we're not sure what that means for Musk at the end of the day. But you brought up Microsoft and Apple. And anytime there's some sort of tech great, there's always going to be those comparisons to a Steve Jobs. But obviously, Steve Jobs had laser focus and a lot of discipline. So when you look at Elon Musk and the sort of culture that he's bringing into the company, what do you make of those comparisons?
It's kind of ironic that she said that. That's not what was said about Steve Jobs at the time. He was actually pegged very much like Elon Musk is. Not the latest Twitter drama stuff. Put that aside. But in terms of being kind of a loose cannon and hard to deal with and demanding and all these other things like that, that was much more the narrative around Steve Jobs. The narrative about him being laser focused and obviously he was an innovator, but a lot of the more positives did not happen until actually he was after he was already gone, already died. Then a lot of those things kind of came up, and especially after the iPhone blew up and such, that's kind of when Wall Street kind of came around to him. The media kind of came around to him. But prior to that, I mean, he was actually ousted from Apple for being, not an easy person to deal with. You can go read about it. I'm not going to get into it here. But not how she described it now was not how he was perceived at the time during his reign at Apple. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, again, I have no inside information on how much Musk's, other interests are affecting the management of the company, though it's not a good sign. But yes, Jobs had a vision. And also, let me say that at least at a certain point, it mattered that Steve Jobs was perceived as a really cool guy, as somebody who, there was a certain, the guy in the black turtleneck and jeans with the amazing device in his hand. That was something that people wanted to buy into, which helped to establish his position. Now you have Musk,
Again, I don't remember anybody, I don't know, probably under the age of 60 that thought Steve Jobs was a quote unquote cool guy with his turtleneck. I remember it being the butt of a lot of jokes everywhere. But I don't remember that ever being like the cool guy image, the dad jeans with the turtleneck. Whatever. All right. Anyways.
Wow, had something like the same image. He takes us to outer space. He does interesting things. But he's now.
Yeah, dad jeans, turtleneck, and cool guy that takes us to outer space. I don't know how those are comparable at all, but this guy thinks they're comparable.
That image, and that's again, I don't think, and crucially, I don't think even if Musk had been as disciplined as Steve Jobs was, that Tesla was ever going to be a sustained profit machine the way that Apple has been. It's not his fault. It's just not that kind of industry. But then, I don't know anyone who's done as much to hurt his image of cool in as short a time as Musk has done.
And it does raise that existential question. What does it actually mean to be a Tesla owner now versus when it first started? You had a lot of, Democrats following along. You had a lot of sort of liberal elite following along. And then as Musk got more political, as he sort of was more right-leaning, became more vocal on Twitter, that narrative seemed to change. What does it mean now to be a Tesla owner?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there was definitely, it's actually surprisingly hard to quantify, but it almost for sure. If you want.
Surprisingly hard to quantify, but I'm going to tell you what it means anyways, right? I mean, this guy repeatedly qualifies his statement with, I have no freaking clue, and then tells you this is exactly what's going on. It's just one of those amazing things. I told you guys this was mind-blowing, so yeah, you just got to kind of go with it here.
Who bought a Tesla? It would be somebody living in the wealthy suburbs of New York or San Francisco or LA, who was highly educated, high income, but also socially liberal. It's an electric vehicle. You're helping the environment. You're part of the future.
That's really detailed for somebody who paid no attention and has no idea.
And that's now saying, well, I'm helping make money for Elon Musk is not going to appeal to that sort of person. There are wealthy people who buy luxury cars who don't have those concerns, but they probably weren't buying Teslas, and they probably aren't going to start buying Teslas now because electric vehicles and saving the planet isn't their thing.
And especially now, perhaps when people look at a Tesla, they don't necessarily think that anymore. It is very hard to separate the man from the brand, especially as he has become more vocal. I do want to ask about your comments. You've said that we're living in an era of petulant oligarchs. You've called Musk an insecure billionaire. Does it really matter at the end of the day for his brand?
Well, it's, at the end of the day, meaning 15 years from now, it probably doesn't matter because or put it this way, even if Musk.
There you go. First thing he said that actually makes a lot of sense. In the long run, it doesn't freaking matter. But I'm sure he'll have some other, but blah, 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 blah.
Everything that his fans imagined him to be. 15 years from now, Tesla was unlikely to dominate. But it's got to hurt now. I mean, these are, it's kind of weird. We live in this high-tech age of all this stuff, but the probably personality, celebrity, image has never mattered more for business. I don't think that anybody...
That's patently false. Now, I would agree Elon is one of the celebrity CEOs that is out there. But I'm thinking through Apple, I don't really think of Tim Cook as a celebrity CEO. He's not all over the media. He's not all over the news. He doesn't make appearances. He rarely tweets, if ever. I would say he is, I would call it as almost the polar opposite from Elon as can be. Same with the Google CEO. Same with most CEOs out there. So again, I don't know where this guy is making this information out. I don't know. I want to say worse, but oh gosh.
Anybody who was buying a Chevrolet during the hegemony of General Motors thought much about what kind of a person Alfred Sloan was, and even Henry Ford was a character too. But still, the point is that we live, and now maybe it's because we're a rich country and we're talking about semi-luxury goods. So the image of the figurehead for the company matters quite a lot. And boy, Musk is not doing his business any favors.
I mean, and certainly when you look at some of the tweets, some of his reactions to criticism, sometimes, it's great to get that direct reaction from a CEO, because sometimes if a story comes out, he's quick to correct it or add some nuance to it. But then some of the...
That's because he makes their job easier. When he tweets like that, it gives them a story that they can run with and they can post something on there in this 24-hour news cycle that we have now. So that's the reason why they like seeing him do that. Not that it's actually a good thing or desirable or anything else. It's just desirable for the media.
Have ranged from sort of immature to spiteful as well. When you think of that picture that he paints for a brand like Tesla or some of his other companies, SpaceX, Twitter, and then you have this Twitter distraction, this idea of a distracted CEO, when for some people he can just do no wrong, he's a genius. What lens should we be viewing Elon Musk through?
Well, I mean, it's got to be a bad thing. I mean, to a certain extent, for him to be highly visible was a good thing for the business. And look, there are two kinds of people who send me hysterical hate mail. And usually it's not strictly political. There's crypto types and there's Tesla fans, Elon Musk fans. Certainly having that fan base was in some ways a good thing, but it clearly can turn into a liability. And I have to say, I don't really understand it. I mean, if I had that much money, I really wouldn't much care what the people thought of me. I wouldn't be responding to random. Well, I personally, if I responded to every random nasty thing somebody said on Twitter, I would have negative 30 hours in the day. And it's really amazing. But in any case,
It's kind of funny how he says, if I was Elon Musk and I had that much money, well, I mean, I'm sure you've had plenty of time, you've had a pretty successful career, but there's a reason why you don't have that much money. And to say, if he responded to every negative, you're right, if Elon responded to every piece of negative criticism out there, he would have negative 30 hours. That's the reality of somehow he manages to do more in a 24-hour period than any other human on earth, it seems like. And I'm not trying to Tesla or Elon fanboy here or anything else like that. You guys know that I harp hard on not being that way when we're discussing Tesla and discussing Elon. However, I would say there's nobody better with their time in terms of time management than Elon Musk that's ever lived, or, that we know of, that has ever lived with going with that. He's got to be in the top 2, 3 ever in terms of time management and such. So he's not responding to the thousands of idiot trolls that troll him every single day, if not more. I don't know what the number is, but it's got to be in the thousands. This guy's trying to draw the conclusion that, well, if I did what he did, I would waste 30 hours. Yeah, that's probably also the reason why you wouldn't be able to have, hundreds of billions of dollars in net worth overall, because you can't divide your time and appropriately respond to where it's cheeky, it's fun, it fits the personality, and it scratches his itch, but also accomplish a lot of other things. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those deals there that this guy's kind of talking out of both sides, and I don't know where he's going with it, but it seems, I don't know, almost old man get off my lawnish. I don't know how else to say it.
it's not a good sign. All the signals are exactly what you don't want to see in somebody who should be, like you said, laser focused on building this business.
And so then when you look at some of this really core sort of diehard fans that support Musk, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the ones buying his product. So if you could give him a message as to who he should really be listening to at this point, because it does seem that he is revealing more of himself with every single tweet and every single reaction.
Yes, please tell Elon exactly who he should listen to according to this guy. Yes, great idea.
Yeah, well, the trouble is I'm not sure that there's useful advice to give. It would be one thing if he were acting out of character and you could say, go back to the guy you were. This is probably who he always was. And what happened is that he got himself, wealth, and then the purchase of Twitter empowered him to sort of reveal more of his.
Again, I don't think this guy is following the history books. Elon has been this way long before, Tesla had its huge run. He had his huge payouts and the hundreds of billions of dollars, and he's the world's richest man and all that sort of stuff. He was this way long before that. And it isn't like he wasn't that way, and then all of a sudden he got Twitter, and now all of a sudden he's come out as this guy or whatever the case is. Maybe he's gotten a little more political. Okay, I'd say that was pretty fair before, as opposed to not being that way before. But he's been poking the SEC for 4, 5, 6 years. He's been poking people on Twitter for just as long, and all kinds of other randomness like that. Just when the stock's going up and everything's going great, and it's not as controversial, and Tesla is a much smaller company. Nobody seems to care. Now all of a sudden it's a big company and he took over Twitter and has upset some people. And now all of a sudden it's a big deal and he's just a spoiled billionaire who just ran into money. He's been rich for a long time, buddy. He's been richer than you probably for 20 plus years now. So I don't think it was just magically he all of a sudden got money last year and this year he bought Twitter or I guess last year he bought Twitter. 2020. Anyways, the point is, it's not like he magically got rich last year, bought Twitter last year, and now it's just his play toy and he's some, crazy loopy billionaire who's high on his own supply because he's super rich last year. He's been rich for a long time, man. So I told you guys this was spectacular and it didn't let us down.
And it's very hard to go back on that. I mean, I suppose it would, if he were to actually go quiet about QAnon-ish stuff for a year, people might forget about it. But this is, it is amazing. I mean, I've never, and he isn't the first super rich